today, everybody is here to talk about Western Title databases. So for those who don't know me, my name's Patrick. I take care of the sales side. So I work with you guys quite a bit, not specifically on escrows or anything like that, but I work with you guys on getting you guys more business, making your lives easier, coming up with databases like that. So we're going to be going through a bunch of different stuff today. Lori, Leslie, Brad, this is going to be really familiar for you guys because you guys are going to have seen some of this stuff. As for our new folks like Jessica, Tarina, Angie, some of this stuff is going to be really new. Feel free to take notes, and anything that we go over, I'm more than happy to sit down with you guys one-on-one and kind of go over everything, make sure that you're comfortable with it. And I know with the whole pandemic season, sitting down one-on-one is a little bit more difficult, so we can always meet virtually like this as well. So we'll make sure everybody's all put together and all squared away. Are there any questions before we get started? Okay, all right. So I'm going to share my screen. If you have any questions, feel free to unmute yourself, either that or just write in the chat box. So let's go ahead and share screen. All right, can everybody see the screen? Nod your heads or, all right, cool. All right, so very first thing that we want to show you guys is the Western Title page. So this is going to be where every single database that I talk about, if you don't want to copy down the long URLs or anything like that, you're going to go to the Western Title page. So it's westerntitle.net up on the very top left, and you just got to click our little coronavirus notice out of the way. Here's kind of a nice shortcut for you if you're looking for information about the Western Title offices and want to just go straight there to make sure you know where you're headed. All you have to do is just click on the button that leads you straight to that office. Now, in our case, we're going to click on Northern Nevada because we're a lot cooler than Las Vegas. Just kidding. No offense to anybody who's from Las Vegas. All right. In the very middle on the top, you're going to see a place called Resources. So today, we're going to go over everything COVID-19 related. We're going to be going over Certified, RE Pro Tool, and then there's a couple extra ones that are hiding in here for the real estate agents. So like I mentioned, every database that we talk about today, if you go to the Western Title page, go under Resources and click on For Real Estate Agents, it's a big, long page with a bunch of bricks that show you everything that's at your disposal outside of title and escrow. So we're going to be going through a lot of this today. Now, the very first one that we want to talk about is called Profiles, Profiles on Demand. This is particularly useful if you have a buyer and you're going to go look at a house for the first time, or if you're meeting with a seller for a listing appointment and you want to acquaint yourself with the property as much as possible. So to do this, it's what you're going to be accessing what's called a property profile. A property profile is very tip of the iceberg look at a property. It's going to tell you square footage, bedroom, bathroom, previous owners. It's going to show some title history for the past 5 years. So it's also going to give you some sales comparables, or CMAs, as they say on the MLS. And it's also going to give a list of nearby points of interest. So any veterinarian shops, local gas stations, local convenience stores. So it's especially helpful too if you've got people moving in from a new area and they want to know how close they are to schools, churches, casinos, local convenience stores, all that good stuff. Our customer service group is able to get this for you. We're able to print this all out, and we're able to give you the deed as well as the deed of trust. However, if you guys need this to access on your own, this is the website that you're able to go to. All we have to do is sign you up for an account. So, for example, Lori, Brad, you guys have an account for this already. However, some of our new folks on here, Jessica, Tarina, we're going to have to make you an account. There's no cost whatsoever, so don't think there's any money involved here. Once you have an account, you're going to get an account number that looks a lot like this. It's going to be West00 blah, blah, blah. You're going to enter your password and say Submit ID. Now, on here, of course, it's going to show that you have 30 logins. That means you're able to download 30 profiles a month. Now, if you get more than 30 and you're bringing us business, we really do not care. We are more than happy to give you more than 30 profiles. Nobody's even come close to that, however, so just don't think that you're locked into just 30. Next, what you're going to do is hit Property Profile, and you're going to select the state. Now, does anybody have a property that they would like to look into in the state of Nevada?
Yeah, 107. 06 Misty Meadows.
All right, say that one more time, Brad.
10706 Misty Meadows.
All right. So a good thing to note here is obviously the street number is in a different line and the street name is on a different line. Try to avoid putting in drive, lane, court, trail, anything like that. Addresses in here are really finicky, and sometimes even though it might be Misty Meadows Trail, it might be listed as TR and it'll cancel out and it won't catch it. So just safe way to do it, just forget the end of the street name. You can also put in last name and first name and the parcel number. Brad, I'm assuming this is in Reno.
Yeah, 89511.
Cool. All righty. So we're going to say submit.
Hey, Patrick, before you keep going, just real quick, can you go back to the Western Title resources page for all agents and show me where you clicked the property profiles?
Of course.
Thank you.
So we're back.
I didn't want to get take you back in the middle of everything. Sorry.
Well, it's all right. All right. So when you go to the tools for real estate agents,
Mm-hmm.
you scroll down and it is in the second row of bricks and it's on the far left. So it says property profiles on demand. So you just click there and it'll take you right to that site that I showed you with your username and everything.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Of course. All right. And hey, just so everybody knows, in case they're unfamiliar, escrow, of course, is that process when you have a buyer and a seller. Joanne is the middleman or woman, as it were. And she helps facilitate from both sides, takes care of all the money, the government contracts, all that good stuff. So that's where Joanne helps out. Great with new agents, really helps you guys kind of take off, start flying. I know Leslie and Lori. Lori, you've worked with Sherry Baker over here. So we've got great escrow officers to help you guys out. Now, what we were talking about before with the property profiles, this is what you'll have before you even have an offer. You're trying to get your buyers to make an offer, or you're trying to get your sellers to work with you to do the listing appointment. So like we said, Brad gave us an address to 10706 Misty Meadows Drive. It'll populate right here. So we click on the little blue marks. And then the next thing that'll pop up is going to let you select what you want in your report. For our purposes, we're going to download all of them. Now, you don't have to download all of them. All of the information here is public information. We're just putting it in a nice, pretty bow to make it look good. So it's not like you're sharing anything incredibly private. However, depending on the client that you're working with, you may want to take off demographics, or you might want to take off area homeowners because it might make them a little too comfortable with their neighbors before they meet. So we'll show you everything in here, and then you guys can be the best judge from there. On the right-hand side, this is going to help you with your sales comps. So automatically, it's set for a mile radius, last 12-month sales, 25% above and below the size of the house that we're about to look at, and then it'll let you have 2 bedrooms less or more, and it will have 2 bathrooms less or more. And then right here, this is the sales price. So we can kind of take out some of those anomalies. Say, for example, 10706 Misty Meadows is a $500,000 house. One of the comps comes in and is coming in at $20,000. We don't want that one in there. That's not even close to a comp. You can change the sales price and say 400. Oops. Like that. Obviously, we're not going to do that yet because we want to get a good look at our comps. And we can always come back to this page. So we say print preview. And we'll give it a minute to think up here as the little circle goes around. Here's your cover page. So it'll say property profile. At the very top, you can print this report, save it, email it, all that good stuff. Now, at the very beginning, it shows who the current owner is, Winding Way LLC. It's going to show some information about their lot, their block, what subdivision they're part of, all that good stuff. It's going to show the last transfer date. So 2012 looks like it was in September. And it sold for $195,000 at $113 per square foot. So you've got some extra information there. Shows one of the previous owners. It also shows that it's a single family residence, which is typically what you guys are working with. 2 bedroom, 2 bathroom, no pool, shucks. It's on 7,000 square feet of land. And it looks like the house itself is 2,318 square feet. It's also good here, especially when you're working with buyers, to say, all right, you're going to want to look for the AC unit, and there should be some forced air in there, so there should be a furnace somewhere. It looks like it was built in 2005, and it shouldn't be more than 1 story tall. So just some good stuff that you're able to keep in mind when you're showing your buyers. All right, so it's going to show a map for you, and then it's going to show a little bit of ownership history. Like I said, it usually shows the last maybe 10 years tops. It's not going to have a whole heck of a lot. That's where we step in to start looking at that chain of title and making sure that we have everything written down as to who owned this house and where it came from. Given this one was built in 2005, looks like it had 1 owner, and then it sold to the RDB Winding Way LLC. All right, a little bit of mortgage history. So you're going to be able to see when this house was first built, when it was turned over to the other folks who purchased it, when it was refinanced, all that good stuff. Now we're moving into the comps. So right here, it looks like it selected about 22 comps, I think, for us, maybe a little bit less. It's going to break it down into the address, break it down to the bedrooms, bathrooms, square footage, lot size, all that good stuff. So you're going to see all that information. It's going to scatter it all around to show you what those comps look like. And then at the very bottom of that, it'll show the subject property, a low comp, a high comp, and where the middle is. Now, if we think, say, like I was saying, if we think 245 is way off base, it's way too low, and it should be closer in the $300,000, $400,000 ranges, we can go back to that comp and we can get rid of those cheaper ones. So, for example, this one right here, Big Trail Circle 245. That one might be a little bit of a low comp because everything else is going in the 200 per square foot, and this one is going for 150. So we could take that one out, take out the outlier, and then that changes your comps just a little bit. It's not rocket science, but it takes a little bit of thinking. So we'll go back and change that here in a minute. Now, this is the one that sometimes people feel like this is a bit of an invasion of privacy, so it's at your best discretion. The next page is area homeowners. It's going to list every single house around the one that we looked at. It's going to show who lives there, who owns it, the bedroom, bathroom, year it was built, lot size, all that good stuff. Now, if you're just working with an investor, they're not going to care. If you're working with somebody who probably isn't going to care who their neighbors are, they want to know their first names, so they're on a first name basis, this is fine. However, if you're working with Creepy Joe or, Creepy Pete or anybody like that, maybe withhold this. Again, it's personal or it's information that anybody can access, but make them go access it. Don't just give it to them. So your own best discretion. All right, so 2 pages of homeowners. Now it's going to cover area history. So it's going to show in each year the average number of bedrooms and bathrooms that were built, average square lot size, average sales prices, both per square foot and the sales prices. So that's kind of cool. Sometimes this has some demographic information, and it will break it down into genders, age, and how much people are making. Again, that's not something that is important to share. So if you feel like that is just a little much for a neighborhood, that's not something that you need to provide. Obviously, with the one that we've done here, they have not pulled any demographic information, which usually means that they had less than 50 people to go off of, and that's statistic-wise, they didn't want to pull it. Now, it shows you some local area schools, and then, like I said, it shows you some of the local interests. Now, this is pulled from Google Maps, so as long as Google is accurate, this is pretty accurate. If Google has some errors, it might pull up something. Like, for example, one time we pulled this, and the very first vet that was on there had just closed their business a week ago. It hadn't updated yet on Google, so that may be some of the delay. Like you can see, there's vets, banks, coffee shops, credit unions, all that good stuff. Good points of interest, especially for buyers who aren't familiar with the area. So that takes us all the way through that property profile. Like I said, this is stuff that you guys can pull on your own through this website, or you can ask us, and we are more than happy to run this for you. And then, of course, at the very end is kind of your disclaimer as well as ours that says all this information in here is public record. It's deemed to be accurate, but not necessarily perfectly accurate. And if something is wrong on here, it's wrong. We can correct it. Public records can be corrected as well. So good to know there. Any questions on the property profiles at all? All right. So on your web page, on the very top in the tabs, you can see that they're two separate tabs still. So if you don't like the comps, like say for example that one that was 245,000, you can go back, click print preview again, and you can try it again. Make sure that your property profile looks pretty good and that you get better comps. Takes a minute to load.
A question real quick. Has the format changed? It looks different now.
They did just do a recent update. I think they updated it in maybe July or September, July or August, and it's got a little bit of a cleaner look. So hopefully you guys like it.
Yeah, it looks better. Thanks, Patrick.
Good. All right. So once we got rid of that 245, kind of that weird outlier, now the low comp is 375, and it raised that average comp up by about $50,000. So that's kind of helpful. It's not binding. You don't have to sell that house for that much, but it gives you guys kind of a good look as to once you take those outliers out, it raises those prices and makes it a little bit more accurate for you guys. Okay, so that is property profiles. Again, we can do them or you can do them. Some other cool systems that we've got. This one's going to be quick to go over. There's not too much I can show you. We do have a system called Certified or Certify ID. This is a way to get wiring instructions. Actually, let me see. We are going to switch these two because we're trying to go in line of how an escrow is open, just to make it easy for you guys. So this one is once the escrow is open. We also have another app called RE Pro Tool that lets you mobily deposit the earnest money. So once you print out your property profiles, all that good stuff, your buyer makes an offer, it gets accepted, you can email us the contract, and then you have the earnest money. It's usually $500, $1,000, or $1,000, and you guys have to get it to us so that they have their earnest money down. Rather than having us come get it or you running by the office, you can actually download this app and do it yourself. Or if you like, your client can do it as well. So it's an app, and all you have to do is once you go to this web page, the RE Pro Tool, you can download it for your Apple phone or for your Samsung or Android. It works on both. There's a PDF tutorial as well as a tutorial right here, and it shows you kind of how to do it. It's very user-friendly. You click Western Title, you fill in all the information such as your name, escrow officer if you know it, address, name of the buyer, all that good stuff. Take a picture of the front, take a picture of the back, and you're done. Easy as that. Any questions on that one? All right, easy. So check out the video. It's about 2 minutes long. It's kind of garbled on Zoom, so we're going to skip over that one. And now we're back to the certified. So once the escrow is actually in process, money has to be sent. The buyers actually have to buy the house. So they usually have those closing costs to pay for. They need to make their first payment on the house. Some people like to bring in a certified check, and other people like to do a wire transfer, which is just from one bank to the next. It's an invisible electronic transfer. We are trying to make every effort to make sure that that money is sent securely and not going to the wrong account. So we have a system called Certified. Instead of getting wiring instructions with all the bank account details in an email or anything like that, it's going to be sent through this portal. It's a portal that will require your buyers and sellers, if they're receiving proceeds, it will require them to go in and prove their identity. So they'll have to create an account. They'll have to answer questions about who they are, and it'll be tough questions like, what year did you graduate from high school? When did you live on this address? And did you ever live here or here or here? It'll be questions that only they know, so knowledge-based. And then once they're in, it will give them the wiring instructions. So there's some directions right there. Like I said, they'll get an email to go check it out, validate their identity, and then they can confirm or send the money transfer, however that works, whichever side that they're on. So if you have more questions about Certified, we're more than happy to go over those. Just wanted to point that out to you guys. And then also, of course, during COVID, we also have some databases that are built for you guys. So if you guys are working with any builders, their hours are a little bit different right now. So we keep track of what those builder hours are. We also have a comprehensive list of all HOAs. So if you're working with a buyer and they're not sure if they have an HOA that applies to their house, you can go in here and we can start looking up some HOAs. We're more than happy to do that as well. Okay, so that kind of goes over some of just those basic databases that you're going to have to go look at yourself. However, now we're back to some of those tutorials. And again, like Lori was saying, all of these that I'm about to show you to are back on that For Real Estate page. So next we're going to go into Breakthrough Broker, and that is about almost at the bottom. So not the last brick, but that second from the bottom row. So you'll click there, and it takes you to a place called Breakthrough Broker. This one is going to be helpful for you guys to create marketing materials. So you just secured a listing appointment, or you just sold the new house. Maybe you've got a buyer who's interested in buying just a specific house. This is where you can come to get all of the marketing materials you could ever possibly think of. This is really, really helpful for people who are not proficient or don't really want to learn Photoshop, InDesign, Illustrator, any of that. If they want a template that's already pre-made and you just have to load your pictures, this is where you go to do it. Once you get your account, you're going to log in on the top right, and so you'll be able to see your profile, marketing dashboard, marketing saves any previous stuff that you've made. And then this just works like a Google search bar. So let's go ahead, and we just sold, and we want to do a door hanger. So once you go in here, unfortunately you get to see my ugly mug on the top left, so I'm really sorry about that. Now, through here, this is where you're going to start seeing some materials. So right here is a door hanger. And then up here, they give you some tips to how to door knock, how to go talk to people. So that's always helpful. But we're looking mainly at the marketing stuff. So we click here. Now, the important thing to remember is we can change the color. We can change all the pictures. We can change this so it's your picture and your name and your company logo. The only thing we can't change is the general layout. So if Leslie goes on here and she says, I really don't like that it's 2 pictures in a row and then just listed and then a picture, I really wish it was all the pictures smushed together, you're out of luck. This is something that you're going to have to build on your own. As long as you like the basic template, this is what you'll be getting. They're going to try and get you to, on Breakthrough Broker, have them print it. It's very, very expensive and very pricey. They do a good job and they make good stuff, but it's very expensive. My best suggestion is to get started, do the free digital download, and then print it at your office or at your home. They usually tell you the templates that you need to get. So if it's a postcard or a door hanger like this, they'll give you the template number to go to Home Depot or not Home Depot, Office Depot, and get that template. So if we decide we like this one, we go ahead and go in here. The very first thing we want to do is we want you guys to be orange, because obviously you guys are Sierra Nevada property. Now, Jeremy has what's called a hex code, H-E-X. So that is your guys' exact color. That's going to be the exact orange. This one looks close, but it may not be the perfect exact code. It usually comes like this. It's going to start with 2 letters and it's going to have 4 numbers at the end. Feel free to ask Jeremy for it because he can give that to you and you can go ahead and start entering that information. And then it'll change it to the correct color that you guys need. You can start putting in your Realtor logo. You can view the front and you can also view the back. And you can start going in here and you can start editing away and changing all the pictures. You can change directly from your desktop. One of the new things that Breakthrough Broker has done is they have a paid platform where you're able to actually pull from your MLS number and it automatically pulls all your photos, all the write-up that you did. It pulls everything in and throws it right onto the flyer for you so you don't have to do it. It is expensive. I believe it's about $10 a month, and I don't think it's going to get any cheaper. So it's not absolutely necessary. If you don't want to do that, all you have to do is just do it yourself. You click, browse, go ahead and grab a photo. You can enter in all the information there. And then one of the most important things I like to remind you guys too, once you guys are signed up for Breakthrough Broker, before you go get any materials to edit and all that good stuff, go to your profile and enter all of your information because it will automatically pull all of it. So put in your name, put in your phone number, put in your license number, and then every flyer that you make after that is going to have all of your info already done. You don't have to edit anymore, which is pretty nice. Now on the very bottom left, that's where you get your free download. You can have them print it if you want to spend that money. You can share it directly. I believe it's on Facebook. They are working on an Instagram link as well, but right now it's directly through Facebook. You can also send by email, or you could save it for later and put it somewhere else. And of course, last but not least, there's tech support from Breakthrough Broker to help you out. I'm pretty well versed in this as well. So if you guys are having issues with Breakthrough Broker, you can always give me a call, explain where you're at, and I'm more than happy to sit down with you guys. The last thing I want to show you guys here is the save button. So say, for example, you're working on this and then you get a phone call from your client. They have really important information. You got to go. You got to leave the office. Save it, because you can always go back to your view saved and it will pull up everything that you've ever worked on. So you can see here that I like to pull a lot of success plans for our classes, and I like to do kids coloring sheets for open houses. So it shows everything that I have ever made. You can re-download, you can edit, or you can throw it in the trash. So always make sure you save it. Don't leave something high and dry. So this is one of those cool new features that they have. And last but not least, on the left-hand side, they always have trending. So it's always kind of cool. They update it usually about once a week. Kind of cool to see what other people nationwide are using and what they're doing. And you can also see some of their business planning and marketing strategies. It's not necessarily marketing content you can make, but it helps kind of inspire you as an agent to do some of that stuff. Any questions on Breakthrough Broker at all?
One real quick, Patrick. When you go down to the bottom where the free download is, I didn't understand. Will it actually say, can you save it like as a PDF on your own computer and then thumb drive it to take it wherever you want to print it, or do they not allow you to do that?
Oh, yep, you can definitely do that. So once you click on that button, this will pop up in the middle of your screen. You can
Perfect.
download it as a PDF, which is really what you guys are going to want to do if you're printing it on your own. If you're printing it at the office or at your own home office, you'll want to do the PDF. If you're taking it to a professional printer, they're going to have crop marks and bleeds. So they're going to have all these hash marks that computers recognize, and that'll make it print really nice on glossy paper. It'll go right all the way to the edge, and there won't be any white margins. So you can download those. There's also PNGs, and you can, of course, save it again for later. PNGs are the files that they take away the white in the background, so it's just your logo superimposed on something. So say, for example, you want to print it on a blue piece of paper, or say, for example, a green piece of paper, and you only want the logo and no white space behind it, save it as a PNG. It'll take out all the white. So kind of a cool thing. These two are going to be your bread and butter, the PDFs. It'll save it directly to your computer, and then you're able to either A, print it, or Lori, like you said, go ahead and download it to a thumb drive, take it to your local printing shop, and do it that way. And 9 times out of 10, your local printing shop is going to be a lot cheaper than Breakthrough Broker. So keep that in mind. I'm not a salesperson for Breakthrough Broker, so I don't have to lie about their pricing. Woohoo! All right. Any other questions about Breakthrough Broker before we keep on trucking? All right. Very nice. Go ahead and move these aside. And the next thing we're going to talk about, this one's going to be pretty quick. We have a database for you guys that goes over pre-foreclosure homes. So especially if you're looking for leads to call people and say, we do have a couple of realtors out there who like to call the people about to lose their homes and help them with the situation, help them go into short sales, which is what Cindy did, the first gal that you guys met. This is an option. It's definitely something you can do. It takes a very fine-tuned practice. Right now, unfortunately, you can't do a whole lot with this. So there's a website called Data Source NEV. Again, that's through the realtor page on our website. You click on foreclosures, and I'll get you guys the password that we enter here in a second. So it's investor, and then investor-1. So this is the same for everybody. You hit login, a blue button is going to show up, and you're able to see every home in these counties that has gotten a notice of default and a notice of sale. For those who aren't familiar with it, a notice of default means that people have not been paying their bills for approximately 60 to 90 days on a home. And a notice of sale means that they have continued to not make payments. The house is now going into foreclosure. The bank will own it, and it will be sold on the courthouse steps. So notices of default, people can still get into a short sale. Once it's at a notice of sale, people are losing their homes. There's not a whole lot that they can do. It's going into foreclosure. Now, obviously, right now with the moratorium and what the governor has done with foreclosures, there should be nothing on here. Anything that's on here is, oh my, all right, well, never mind. I've been proven wrong. So in the past, this has been completely empty because since March, the moratorium was over everything, and nothing could be put into foreclosure, and no notice of default could be done.
They
So
changed
I'll
the
have,
moratorium.
oh, did they? Okay,
I think it
I
was
had not heard.
September something.
Okay, all right. So people are now, it looks like, officially going into default. So if you want the information, so say for example, 1991 Quail Creek Court, before I click on, I'd just like to ask, nobody knows that address for any reason. We don't want to show any private information, right? Okay, good. All right, that's nobody's best friend. So we click on the details, it'll highlight it in yellow, and then you can scroll to the bottom and you can see all of the detailed information about it. So you're going to see the site address, you're going to see the bedroom, bathroom count, and all that good stuff. You're also going to see all of the notices of default recorded against it. So this one's a little strange. Looks like it's had a default on it for quite a while. This one is understandable because the pandemic might have shut this foreclosure down, but so this is a little on the interesting side. But the nice thing is it gives you the note holder, gives you the bank, and it gives you their phone number. You're going to be on hold for a while, and it's always good to have kind of a script prepared. That you're a realtor, you're interested in helping these people, you need some contact information, you need some more details about the house, you want to know more information. They're usually pretty friendly about giving you guys extra information to help them. You're just going to have to stay on the phone for a long time. So again, not a database that you have to use by any means, but if you guys ever do decide that you want to get into that field, there's plenty of stuff on Breakthrough Broker about scripts, about calling people like this, and then you can go ahead and start giving them a call to help them with short sales. Now we also have some that are going into foreclosure and are actually being sold. So this is if you're working with somebody who wants to invest on the courthouse steps. You can see the sale date of when it's officially going to be sold. You can also see when the notice of sale was put on the house. So Rising Sun, say for example, we want to look at Rising Sun. It's going to be sold on the 11th of December. And you can see a little bit of that history as to how much they purchased it for, how much the approximate bid amount is going to be, all that good stuff. So just some good information for you guys. Any questions about the notice of default or notice of sale database? Okay, all right, silence is golden. That's always good. Now, let me see. All right, so the last two that we're going to be going over today are net sheets and statistics. So let me see, let's see how we're doing on time. Yep, we got about 10 minutes left. So we're going to go really quick through the stats. These are sent to you guys every single Wednesday. We can give you guys a city or we can give you guys a specific zip code. So everybody who's on the call, if you are not yet in here, if you do not yet get the stats, go ahead and write. You can shoot me an email too, or write in the comments what you guys are interested in, city, zip code. As long as it's in Nevada, we can get you guys signed up for it. You'll get an email that opens to this. So you'll be able to show what type of market it is. Over here, it'll show you your median list price per square foot, days on market, price decrease, price increase, all that good stuff. The important one I like to point out to you guys is the median list price. A lot of people comment, hey, that's a lot higher than any of the stats that I see put in the newspaper. Most of the stats in the newspaper are median sales price, and this is median list. List obviously is usually going to be higher. Another thing to keep track of, it'll show you some really cool graphs, and you can see how things have gone over the last year, all the way back to 2017. And then it breaks it down into market segments. So you can actually show, hey, it looks like the median sales price on the low end of the market, you're going to get a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, and they go quick. They're gone within about a month. As opposed to homes that are going for $1 million or more, they're usually on market for about 200 days. So kind of helps you, especially with your buyer. All right, so like I said, put in the chat if you guys are interested in those stats, or you can shoot me an email. I'll make sure you guys have that. And the last thing we want to go over are net sheets, just because those are very, very helpful for you guys. Net sheets are really good to prepare for sellers, especially before a listing presentation or during a listing presentation. This will help break down all the fees, and it will give them a good idea of how much they're going to make when they sell their house. So if you go ahead and go in here, this again, for those who are wondering, if you go into Western Title under the resources, real estate agents, the very first thing that you see is run a net sheet. So you can always click there. And This will be your opening page. There's a little disclaimer at the top that says these rates are accurate but not guaranteed. It doesn't hold you or anybody else accountable for that. So if the prices are just a little bit off, it kind of holds everybody together. They don't have to be exactly accurate down to the penny. So we encourage you guys to do this just for sellers. If you guys are interested in doing it for buyers, it will give you the title fees for buyers, but it won't give you any lending fees. If you're interested in doing a net sheet for a buyer, we really suggest you talk to your lender. They're going to give you a much more accurate look, and they also have our fees already, which is really nice. All right, so let's go ahead and enter some information, show you guys how this is done. So always put in your property owner. Always makes it look nice. We're also going to put in their street address. And last but not least, you're going to want to put in the county. So we're going to say Washoe. No need to put anything into the taxes due unless you know that there's some extra information you need to put there. We want to put your guys' information in here. So we're Mr. Cool Pants, and we are Cool Pants at smp.com. And of course, we work at Sierra Nevada Properties. And then this is where we're going to start putting in the important information that you guys are going to have to put on your noggins for. So the close date. Always pick something that's at least a month out, because most escrows run about 30 to 45 days. Complicated escrows tend to run closer to about 90, so keep that in mind. This does not calculate anything, doesn't tie to any of the fees. It's just kind of a close date to give them some peace of mind as to what's going to happen. Next, we're going to say what their house is going to sell for. Well, Mr. Harry Potter probably did pretty well, so we're going to say he's going to sell it for, we're going to sell it for $750,000. Now, say, for example, the seller has a mortgage that they currently have. This is where you're going to put whatever is left over. So Harry probably has about $150,000 left on this home. This is where this little slot is where you put in your second mortgage. This usually is kept blank. Hopefully they don't have a second mortgage, but if they do, this is where you put in that information. Realtor commission. So this should hopefully always be 6. You're not just entering it for yourself, but also for your co-realtor. Closing costs. Now, closing costs and concessions, you can leave these 2 blank. This is only if your seller is interested in giving extra money to your buyer as a gift or just to say thanks. They're trying to help out with closing costs or help out with any concessions. So if they were feeling generous, you could say, oh, they're going to get $500 for closing costs. 9 times out of 10, it's blank. There's no reason to put it in. I know during some seasons and cycles, it does kind of become the thing to do. A lot of people hear, oh, well, we should give some money during closing costs. So we might have a cycle where that comes back and people start giving closing costs to be nice. But as of right now, we don't have to put anything in. Now let's talk about HOAs. Normally, the seller, unless they're feeling very generous, they do not pay anything for HOA dues. However, they usually cover the transfer fee. So transfer fees range anywhere from $100 to about $300 in the city. We're going to be generous and say it's right in the middle. When it comes to repairs, sellers usually cover repairs. Depending on the severity of the damage in the home, they might give $1,000. If it's a really nice house, they might give $1,000. Typically, with your standard house, $300,000, you're going to give $500 for repair. We don't do anything with water rights, so this is where you would put it in if there's going to be any issues with well, any issues with the rights to water, you can put in costs there. Most of the time when you're working here in the city of Reno, Sparks, Carson City, Fernley, you really don't have to worry about that unless you start getting out into the hills. This is where you can put other. This is, for example, if they're going to cover sanitation fees for the next quarter, if they want to cover the energy bill, if they just want to leave some extra money just because they're feeling nice. Again, you're usually going to leave this blank. Inspection fees, we like to encourage you guys to put this in because if there's ever a re-inspection, usually the seller covers it. So usually the buyer covers the first inspections, and then sometimes they'll ask the seller for a re-inspection. It's always good to put in like $200, $300 in there just to be safe. And last but not least, we have home warranty. Again, this is only if the seller is feeling generous. You usually don't have to put anything in. So I like to tell people once we get to this point, don't feel intimidated by net sheets. There's a lot of cells in here, a lot of options to put in, but you don't have to fill them all in. A lot can be left blank. So even if you don't know the property owner or the address, you can leave it blank. You need to know the county. You got to say if it's a seller. You got to put your name in there, the close date, and the sales price. Everything else, you don't have to put anything in, and only put in what you think you know. Most people put in the sales price, the loan amount that's left over, realtor commission, and repairs, and they leave that. So don't feel intimidated like you have to fill the whole thing out. Escrow fee and the transfer tax are usually split, and there should be a short sale fee. So you say submit, and it'll think for a minute. And at the very, very top, when it populates, there's a place where you can print it as a PDF, and then you can also send it as an email. So make sure that you download it. We also have access to this. Once a net sheet is made, it gets sent to a little email folder where anybody in customer service can go look at it. So if you have questions, if you want to know, hey, did I do this right? You can always give us a call. As long as you have that quote number right there, just give that to us. We can go type it in, look it up in the email, and we can look at it in tandem with you and make sure it's accurate. Now, based on the sales price of the home, the title insurance and the closing fees are already pre-done. And there's also going to be some government fees related. So the recording fee, release fee, transfer taxes, all that good stuff. That's where you're going to see your commission, $45,000. And you're also going to see the loan payoff for the old loan, $150 for the transfer fee, looks like $300 for inspections, like we said, some air quality management fees, especially here in Washoe, that's $21. Carson City is a little bit different, so make sure you select the right county for that. And there's also a doc prep fee that the government charges because government likes to do that. Last but not least, at the very bottom, this is the cool part for your seller. You can say, hey, if I'm going to work for you, we're going to sell this for $750, and you're going to have a total charge of about $200, but you're going to walk away with this for about $550,000 in proceeds. And usually that puts a smile on their face. You get to shake hands, kiss babies, and you get to sell their house, which is good. And last but not least, again, here's that reminder at the very bottom that these are guaranteed to be accurate, but they're not guaranteed to stay. If everything comes together and there was an extra fee that we didn't know about or an extra piece of paperwork we need to record, Harry might not be getting $549,000. He might be getting closer to $547,000. It's not legally binding, but it's a good idea. That way they know, which is always helpful. Any questions about net sheets at all? All right, silence is golden. Well, that brings us to the end of our databases class and kind of everything that we were talking about today. So just as a reminder for you guys, we went over the Western Title website kind of to help you guys navigate and find all those resources. We also talked about profiles on demand. So that's where you guys get your property profiles, or you can request them from us. So you can always shoot me an email. We went over certified, which is how you guys will get your clients to get their wiring instructions safely. We went over the RE Pro tool, which helps you guys mobily deposit checks and get them straight over to us. I am still more than happy to come get them, but saves everybody time and money if you want to do that. We went over real estate stats. We also went over pre-foreclosure databases. And last but not least, we went over net sheets. Now, like I said, any of these, if any of it confused you, if we went too fast, because we covered a lot, go ahead and give me a call, and I'm more than happy to sit down with you again and kind of go over everything, whether we meet in person or online or however you'd like to do it, or if you just have a question by email, I'm more than happy to help you there.